Impressive, He-Man. So you like to play games, do you, He-Man? Here's a little game I call Powerball. If they touch you, it's going to be most unpleasant.
There is something else you must see, Lion-O. The most important part of your heritage. This is the mystic Sword of Omens, and the source of our powers, the Eye of Thundera.
In those capsules, they're Thundercats. Thundercats! Ho!
It's the Autobots! Decepticons, transform! Transform! Don't interfere, Prime!
Give it up, Megatron!
The universe is mine!
I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into shish kebab with those claws? No, Bob. Seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, and can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy. You gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky?
You're for real! Just hold that pose, Smiley! Great! There goes my $1,000 photo. When am I gonna get the hang of being a superhero and a photographer at the same time? Good reflexes for a future handbag. Now that you've crawled out of your sewer, maybe you'd better stick around. Because I want to know what you did with Doc Connors.
The end of an era has come and gone. The Saturday morning cartoons we all grew up on are gone. And I don't mean like there are just fewer of them out there, and the ones around here kinda suck. I mean they're dead. Gone. No more. The CW was the final network to cut cartoons from their Saturday morning lineup on September 27, 2014, and a day that many of us who grew up on Saturday morning cartoons will never forget. I really have no idea what the networks these days are airing on Saturday mornings, but I doubt it compares to the glory that was X-Men, Spider-Man, The Tick, He-Man, Muppet Babies, Real Ghostbusters, and so on. I mean, Saturday mornings were made for cartoons. Kids would get up as early as they can, sitting in front of the television sets, wearing their footie pajamas and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle PJs, just enjoying hours of programming geared just towards them. Unfortunately, like the prize at the bottom of the cereal box, all good things come to an end. In honor of the lost era of Saturday morning cartoons, this show is to highlight the highs and lows of particular Saturday morning cartoons and maybe some weekday ones that I, as well as many of us, grew up with, and to show why these awesome Saturday morning cartoons made weekends and weekdays just the best, and why seeing them now instantly brings back glorious memories of those carefree childhood days. And this is why in this inaugural episode of the Saturday Morning Breakfast Mix, we start with this particular gem.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles! Heroes in a half shell! Turtle power! They're the world's most fearsome fighting team!
We're really hip.
Ninja Turtles! They're heroes in the half shell! And they're green!
Hey, get a
just like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Splinter taught them to be ninja teens.
He's a radical rat.
Leonardo leads Donatello does machines.
That's a fact, Jack.
Raphael is cool but rude.
Give me a break.
Michelangelo is a party dude. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
In 1984, the duo Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman created an underground sensation in the comic book world with their creation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Published by Mirage Studio, the concept arose from a humorous drawing sketched out by Eastman of an anthropomorphic turtle wielding a pair of nunchucks and wearing a face mask that was drawn as a joke that both creators found to be very funny. As Eastman and Laird began fleshing out the turtles to create a comic book, they had to give the turtles names. At first they tried Japanese name, but it just wasn't working, so they tried great Renaissance artists instead: Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo. Once they had the names and the concept down, the next step was to publish it. Using money from a tax refund, together with a loan from Eastman's uncle, the young artist self-published a single comic intended for a parody of four of the most popular comics of the early 1980s: Marvel Comics' Daredevil, New Mutants, Dave Sim's Cerebus, and Frank Miller's Ronin. Published by Mirage Studio, a name that was given because there was no actual studio but Peter Laird's living room, 3,000 copies of the first comic book, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, were ready to hit the stands. Luckily, after a pricing cost, they had just enough money left to run an ad in Comic Buyer's Guide magazine to help promote what would be the defining moment in their lives. Thanks to that one ad, comic distributors across the country started calling, and Mirage sold all 3,000 copies within a few weeks. With more orders coming in, they printed another 6,000 copies and easily sold through those too. By May, they made enough money to pay back Eastman's uncle and split a roughly $200 profit. Although the comic was meant to be a single-issue, self-contained story, they realized they might be onto something, so they continued to create the comics and sales continued to climb, resulting in it becoming one of the most popular comic books of the year. And with this wave of popularity, the only next logical step was to expand the merchandising and a cartoon show. He-Man, Transformers, Thundercats, and G.I. Joe all benefited from the popular combination of toys and television which defined the 1980s toy market. So it was no surprise that both Eastman and Laird were eager to capitalize on the fame that their little comic book had garnered, and sought out toy manufacturers that would help their vision come true. They would eventually find interest in the toy company Playmates, who in turn would bring in the highly acclaimed studio Fred Wolf Films to produce it, known then as Murakami Wolf Swenson Incorporated. In 1987, David Wise was given the call to develop and write a 5-part animated television plot, and along with Patty Howarth, they were responsible for the reinvention of the darker tone black and white Mirage title into a fun, bright, cheerful animated phenomenon, creating the classic phrases "Cowabunga Dude" and developing the original characters like Krang, Rocksteady, and Bebop. The once dark mutants suddenly became pizza-loving dudesters, with a certain knack for one-liners and non-sequiturs. Gone were all the red headbands they wore in the comics and replaced with brightly colored headbands that made it easy for kids to tell them apart. This, along with the initial 5-episode series debuting, was the necessary work needed so that Playmates would release their first series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures in the summer of 1988. Airing December 28, 1987, the series was not an overnight success, struggling to find its audience for nearly a year of reruns, first debuting on December and then rebooting October 1st of 1988. It wasn't until its third rebroadcast on September 9, 1989 that the kids took notice and it became an instant hit. The show was then expanded to 5 days a week and aired weekdays afternoons in syndication in most markets from September 25, 1989 to September 17th of 1993. It eventually began a secondary run on CBS Saturday morning lineup on September 8, 1990, beginning as a 60-minute block, initially airing a couple of Saturday exclusive episodes back to back. I remember watching this on weekday afternoons after school and was instantly hooked. There was something about that just made me an instant fan. It wasn't later that I discovered that the newer episodes aired on CBS, so it was almost as if I had 6-day Ninja Turtles watching experience. It wasn't until the later seasons where Shredder was not the main baddie and replaced with Lord Dreg that I suddenly started to lose interest. They changed the already popular theme with something that just didn't click, splicing in clips from the first movie, and as you can see, their appearance changed slightly. I guess to mimic the look of the movies, but I don't think that's enough to warrant a reason. Also, this. What is this? Someone please explain what this is. I guess it was because David Wise left the series partway through the 9th season and Jeffrey Scott took over as the story editor and chief writer of the rest of the show's run. But let's be honest here, this show already lasted well past its average lifespan of most Saturday morning cartoon series, and they just couldn't stop, and as life usually teaches us, all good things come to an end. So on November 2nd of 1996, the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episode would air on network television. By then, many of us had stopped following those turtles in a half shell, and in their place was something completely new. But that's for another time. This would not end the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles though. Many iterations would come in the future on both respect and pay tribute to the original 1987 classic, but still be able to be original in their own way. The series and its characters are timeless, be it in the form of comics, movies, television, or video games. It has shown that it can last the test of time while still ushering in new and exciting stories. And like anything in life, you have to take the good or the bad and just appreciate how amazing this show was. And hey, being ranked in at 8th place of the longest running animated series isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's amazing. A cartoon show that ran for 10 seasons, containing 193 episodes, proved that this series had staying power. And not just any type of power, turtle power.
Cowabunga, dudes!
I am Donatello.
I'm Shredder.
This is April O'Neil, Channel 6 News.
The universe.
It was a pleasure being Splinter.
I've always been Donatello. Even before I turned green.
On the half shell, they're the heroes for. In this day and age, who could ask for more? The crime wave is high with muggings, mysterious.